Welcome to our third video. The gospel song you have been listening to was of Moureen leading the children's choir at Bezalel School in Kamuli during a visit I made in 2006. Here's a more recent picture of Moureen taken with her own class at Bawuda Primary School in February 2008. Moureen has been teaching as a qualified teacher since 2001 and now, at the end of April 2008, has just completed her final term of teaching, at least for the time being. The reason for this is that we have decided that more can be done for the schools in Uganda if Moureen joins me for sharing in morning assemblies or other special visits to schools in the UK. If you have a connection with a school in the UK as a teacher or a parent, we would be very happy to consider visiting your school and share on the life and work within the schools of Uganda. Full contact information will be given at the end of this video. Moureen took these next few pictures during a session of arts and crafts. Here the boys are making rope, and the girls have made dolls, and some of the children have made balls for playing games. All of these items have been made from the fibre and leaves of banana. Two of these children have also made brooms from grass for sweeping. Just look at how proud this little girl is after making her figures in clay. From the primary school at Bawuda we come back to Kamuli town, where I will give a brief history of the development of Bezalel School over a 10-year period from 1998 to 2008. Bezalel School was the vision of Pastor Fred Sempiji, who had just built this church when I first arrived with a team from Northern Ireland called Action Africa. This charity have been the main group responsible for the overall fundraising required to help Bezalel School become established. They have helped in the acquiring of land, meeting the costs of building, and active in finding sponsors for all the orphaned children. Let me show you how the school has developed from the very beginning. This picture was taken on our first trip in '98 as I sat outside Fred's house with Fred and my friends from Action Africa. We were watching the children enjoying their balloons when Fred pointed across to the land of maize and banana that you see in the background. He shared with us his desire to purchase this land so he could fulfill his dream of building a school for the orphans. Action Africa then raised the necessary funds to secure the land and to build, and when I returned 2 years later in 2000, I had the great pleasure of being introduced to the children and staff at their new school. A further 6 years would pass before my next visit to Kamuli. When I did return in 2006, there was evidence of a great deal more development. More land had been purchased, and the intake of students had risen to around 400. The majority of these children were now coming from local families who were prepared to pay school fees to have their children schooled at Bezalel. A portion of their school fees would supplement the incoming sponsorship from the UK, supporting the orphan children at the school in their welfare and education. In this picture you can see the original classrooms, now painted in the national colours of the Ugandan flag. At the opposite end of a sizable playground, another larger classroom block had been constructed. I had great joy on this trip in 2006 in watching the children participate in their end-of-term school games. It is seldom straightforward when trying to develop projects like this, and dealing with the unexpected is all part of the course. This classroom block just a year previously had a large section of roof torn off by a hurricane. You can see the debris of the roofing in the foreground. Fortunately, no one was hurt in this incident. This is the back view of the building, and as you can see, the surrounding land at this stage is undeveloped. Once again, Bezalel School was able to purchase the land, and in my most recent visit to the school in February 2008, I was able to see yet more building in progress. In recent years, several more groups have heard about the school and offered their help in various ways. Two of these people I met in February, and they are Keith and Carol Barry from Germany. Together they have helped with much of the bricklaying for the new buildings you see here. Bezalel School continues to thrive and expand, and are a wonderful example of what can be achieved in joint venture when linking with sponsors and supporters in the West. And now, the children from the school will sing you the Jambo song. Jambo is Swahili for hello, as the children will tell you themselves through the words of this lovely song.
When you wake up in the morning and you raise up in bed and you open your eyes in a sleeping head, here is a little one you can say to help you start the day. Say Jambo, Jambo, it means hello, hello to Jesus, your best friend, your best friend. Say Jambo, Jambo, hello, hello. Say Jambo to Jesus every day. He listens when you pray. When you eat your dinner and brush your teeth, and it's time to wind the day. Here is a little one you can say when you kneel down to pray. Say Jambo, Jambo, means hello, hello to Jesus, your best friend, your best friend. Say Jambo, Jambo, hello, hello. Say Jambo to Jesus every day. He listens when you pray. Clap my hands, clap my feet, turn around, jump, swing on the tree. Free! I am so free, 'cause the Father loves me. I wanna clap my hands, clap my feet, turn around, jump, swing on the tree. Free! I am so free, 'cause the Father loves me. I am so free, 'cause the Father loves me. I am so
I have been using the Jambo song at presentations for a few years now, and it always seems to stir some kind of comment. Most people are surprised to see how healthy and how happy the children are. It is very true. They are all well looked after and loved. But that's the whole point of this video. It is to show what can be achieved through ongoing support. And often this leads eventually to a project like Bezalel School being able to stand on its own feet and be self-sufficient. Moureen and I are only too aware of a very different situation with a number of schools in the Kamuli district who are struggling against poverty and in desperate need of a helping hand. Could your school be interested in linking with a school in Uganda? We will finish now with just a few pictures from two of these schools we know of who would be so grateful for any support you can give. Thank you.